Jefferson County Court at Law number 2 is now in session with our special review docket. Today's date of May 26th of 2022. The first case that we have is the state of Texas versus Rashad Shaquille Carter. We have Mr. Carter, who's appearing via Zoom. Mr. Carter, is that your full name?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Carter, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Carter, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Carter, you may put your hand down. How are you doing, Mr. Carter? How are you doing, Mr. Carter?
I'm doing good. How you doing, Judge?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking. Mr. Carter, you're represented by your attorney, who is also appearing via Zoom, Mr. Ryan Matuska. Mr. Matuska, how are you doing?
We are.
Mr. Matuska, do you waive a record in Mr. Carter's case?
We do.
Mr. Carter, I have before me a document that is titled Motion to Revoke Probation. This motion was filed by the Jefferson County District Attorney's Office on October 23rd of 2020. This motion alleges that you, Rashad Shaquille Carter, was tried on March 3rd of 2020 for the offense of assault family violence, and that you were found guilty. The punishment was assessed at 180 days confinement in the Jefferson County Jail and a fine of $800. The confinement was probated for a period of 18 months. In this motion, it also alleges that it alleges 4 violations. State, do you abandon allegations 2, 3, and 4?
Yes, we do, Your Honor.
Mr. Carter, the state is abandoning allegations 2, 3, and 4. And what that means is they will only be proceeding on allegation number 1. And allegation number 1 states that you, Rashad Shaquille Carter, failed to report to the Jefferson County Probation Office as ordered by the court for the months of April, June, July, and September of 2020 as in violation of condition 4 of your probation order. Mr. Carter, is that true or not true?
Yes, sir. It's true.
All right. Now, Mr. Carter, are you pleading true to allegation number 1 freely and voluntarily?
Yes, sir.
And are you pleading true because it is true?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Carter, I also have before me a document that is titled Misdemeanor Plea Admonishments. On page 1 of this document, there's one box that's checked. The box that's checked states that this is an MTRP. MTRP means motion to revoke probation. On page 2 of this same document, Mr. Carter, at the bottom of this document, there are a set of initials, and these initials, R or C, are on a line next to a box checked MTRP, which means motion to revoke probation, true to allegation number 1. Mr. Carter, did you place your initials on this document?
Yes, sir.
On page 3 of this same document, Mr. Carter, there's a signature above the line that is titled defendant. Mr. Carter, did you also sign this document?
Yes, sir.
And on the next document, Mr. Carter, this document is titled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal. There's a signature at the bottom of this document above the line that is titled defendant. Mr. Carter, did you also sign this document?
Yes, sir.
At the top of this same document, Mr. Carter, there are 2 boxes that are checked. The first box that's checked states that this is a plea bargaining case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The second box that's checked states that you are waiving your right to an appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Carter, before you signed and initialed these documents that I have just mentioned to you, did your attorney, Mr. Matuska, go over these documents with you?
Yes, sir.
And did you read and understand everything that he went over?
Yes, sir.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your ability?
Yes, sir, it is.
Mr. Carter, are you a citizen of the United States?
Yes, sir.
State, I have before me State's Exhibit number 1. State, you like to offer States 1?
Yes, Your Honor, state offer states one.
Objection.
Any objections? No objections. State's Exhibits number 1 is admitted. Mr. Matuska, you've advised and counseled Mr. Carter. Is there any evidence that he's currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, sir, Your Honor.
Mr. Carter, your attorney, Mr. Matuska, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yes, sir.
Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Carter, I will accept your plea of true to allegation number 1. I will also find that your plea and waivers was freely and voluntarily given. I will also find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. And I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to revoke your probation, and your probation is hereby revoked. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
We do, Your Honor.
What's that agreement?
Your Honor, in exchange for the defendant's plea of true to allegation number 1, the state's recommending that the court revoke the defendant's community supervision, reform the original judgment, and sentence the defendant to serve 14 days in the Jefferson County Jail, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Do you know? Oh, okay. Mr. Carter, the state is offering that you serve 14 days in the Jefferson County Jail. You'll be given credit for any time that you're entitled to get by law. The court cost in this case is $114. Mr. Carter, will you be able to pay the $114?
Yes, sir.
Well, okay, Mr. Carter, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
And do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just?
Yes, sir, I do.
And do you accept the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Carter, I'll follow the plea bargain agreement that you have reached with the state. Mr. Carter, pursuant to Texas Administrative Code, Section 176.1, the court hereby admonishes you or warns you of the following. Number 1, you are by entry of order or judgment ineligible under Texas law to possess a firearm or ammunition. Number 2, beginning now, if you possess a firearm or ammunition, it could lead to charges against you. If you have questions about how long you will be ineligible to possess a firearm or ammunition, you should consult an attorney. Number 3, under Texas Penal Code Section 46.013, firearms mean any device designed, made, or adapted to expel a projectile through a barrel by using the energy generated by an explosion or burning substance, or any device readily convertible to that use. B, firearm does not include a firearm that may have, as an integral part, a folding knife blade or other characteristics of weapons made illegal by Penal Code Chapter 46, and that is 1, an antique or curio firearm manufactured before 1899, or 2, a replica of an antique or curio firearm manufactured before 1899, but only if the replica does not use rimfire or centerfire ammunition. The statutes listed below are a starting point for ineligibility to possess a firearm or ammunition. For more information about the laws that make you ineligible to possess a firearm or ammunition, or for more information on how long your ineligibility to possess a firearm or ammunition lasts, the court recommends you contact an attorney. Code of Criminal Procedure, Article 17.292, Magistrate's Orders for Emergency Protection. Code of Criminal Procedure, Article 42.0131, notice for persons convicted of misdemeanors involving family violence. Penal Code Section 46.02, unlawful carrying weapons. Penal Code Section 46.04, unlawful possession of firearm. Penal Code Section 25.07, violation of certain court orders or conditions of bond in a family violence, child abuse or neglect, sexual assault or abuse, indecent assault, stalking or trafficking case. Family Code Section 85.026, warning on protective order. Now, Mr. Carter, you have been given a copy of this admonition by your attorney. You can keep that for your records. This will conclude your case. You can knock on the door and get the bailiff attention. And you are free to go, and you have a blessed day.
Thank you, sir. God bless.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Jaquavian Mayberry.
Mayberry.
Court is in session in cause number 331454. The case is styled the State of Texas versus Jaquavian Morrow Mayberry. We have Mr. Mayberry appearing via Zoom. Mr. Mayberry, is that your full name?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayberry, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Mayberry, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Mayberry, you may put your hand out. How are you doing, Mr. Mayberry?
I'm doing all right.
That's good. Mr. Mayberry, I have before me a document that is titled information. This information was filed by the Jefferson County District Attorney's Office. This information alleges that on or about August 23rd of 2021, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed to Class A misdemeanor offense of unlawful carrying a weapon. Mr. Mayberry, do you understand what you've been charged with?
Yes, sir.
And to discharge, Mr. Mayberry, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
Plead guilty.
Now, are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily?
Yes, sir.
Or are you pleading guilty because you are guilty?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayberry, I have before me a document that is titled Misdemeanor Plea Admonishment. It also labeled as State's Exhibit Number 1. On page 2 of this document, there are a set of initials, JM, on a line that's next to a box that's checked guilty. Did you place your initials on this document?
Yes, sir.
On the next page of the same document, there's a signature above the line that is titled Defendant. Mr. Mayberry, did you also sign this document?
Yes, sir.
On the next document, Mr. Mayberry, that is titled Misdemeanor Plea Admonishment, that's titled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal. There's a signature at the bottom of this document above the line that is titled Defendant. Did you also sign this document?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Mayberry, at the top of this same document, there are 2 boxes that are checked. The first box that's checked states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Second box that's checked states that you're waiving your right to an appeal, which means you're giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayberry, did you sign a document out there on paper that is titled Discovery Certification?
Yes, sir.
Now, Mr. Mayberry, before you signed and initialed all of these documents that I've just mentioned to you, did your attorney go over these documents with you? Did
Yes,
your
sir.
attorney, and did you read and understand everything in these documents?
Yes, sir.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayberry, are you a U.S. citizen?
Yes, sir.
State, I have before me State's Exhibit 1. State, you like to offer States 1?
Yes, Your Honor. State offer States 1.
Any objections?
No objection.
Objections? State's Exhibit 1 is admitted. Now, Mr. Matuska, are you waiving a record in Mr. Mayberry's case?
We are.
And Mr. Matuska, you advised in counsel, Mr. Mayberry, is there any evidence that he's currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, sir, Your Honor.
Mr. Mayberry, your attorney, Mr. Matuska, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yes, sir.
Has he provided fully effective and legal representation?
Yes, sir. Fully effective.
Okay. Mr. Mayberry, I will accept your plea of guilty. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt state. Do we have a plea bargain agreement?
We do, Your Honor.
What is that agreement?
In exchange for the defendant's plea of guilty in this case and his agreement to forfeit the weapon involved in this case, the state's recommending confinement in the Jefferson County Jail for a period of 10 days. We're also asking that the court give the defendant credit for the 10 days that he's already served in this case, essentially making this a time-served offer. With regard to the court costs, we're also asking that the court utilize that time served in order to tax and retire those court costs.
Okay, Mr. Mayberry, the state is offering that you serve 10 days in the Jefferson County Jail, but you will not have to serve 10 days in the Jefferson County Jail because of you have already served 10 days. Therefore, the court costs, therefore, the jail time will be given to you as credit for time served. The court cost in this case is $327, but you will not have to pay the $327 because the time that you spent in jail has already paid it off. Now, the state is informing that you are also forfeiting the weapon in this case. Has he signed the forfeiture?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now, Mr. Mayberry, the state filed a motion to forfeit the weapon. And you signed that motion, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, before you signed that motion, did your attorney go over that with you?
Yes, sir.
Did you read and understand everything in the motion?
Yes, sir.
And is everything in that motion true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The court is going to grant the motion to forfeit the weapon. Now, Mr. Mayberry, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just?
Yes, sir.
Do you accept the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Mayberry, I'll follow the plea bargain agreement that you have entered into with the state, Mr. Mayberry. This will conclude your case. You can knock on the door to get the bailiff attention.
I got one question, Judge.
Hold on, before you ask me a question, you might need to talk to your attorney and let me do this here.
Oh, It's not like a question like that.
Well, just hold on a minute, Mr. Mayberry. Let me see. Where's attorney? Okay, Mr. Mayberry, I have you. We can't hear you, but your attorney can hear you. You can talk to your attorney about whatever question that you want to ask. He could give you your advice. Are y'all ready? Okay, we're gonna have to get somebody to take his mic off of mute. Take Mr. Mayberry's mic off of mute, and Mr. Matuska, you could take your mic off of mute. Mr. Matuska, does he, were you able to answer this question?
Not really, Judge. Did you say something about $150,000?
$150,000? What are you talking about?
I don't know. I missed that.
That's what he heard? He thought he heard $150,000? Hold on, let me have somebody to come into that room to take his mic off of mute. You gotta Get the bailiff to come into the mic, into the room where you are, Mr. Mayberry, to take your mic off of mute. You gotta knock on that door.
It's off mute.
Okay, hold on a minute. Let me do this here. Okay, let me see his judgment again.
Which one?
Mayberry, the guy just did.
Is there, what's the matter?
No. Let me go-
The gun?
Okay, let me go back over this here. Okay, Mr. Mayberry, I'm gonna go back over the state's offer. The state is offering that you serve 10 days in the Jefferson County Jail. You'll be given credit for 10 days, which means that you will not have to serve any more time in the Jefferson County Jail because you'll be given credit for time served. There's the court cost. The court cost in this case is $327, but you will not have to pay the court cost because the time that you have spent in jail has already paid it off. Therefore, the court costs will be taxed and retired. And as part of this plea bargain agreement, you will be forfeiting the weapon in this case. Now, Mr. Mayberry, do you understand the state's offer?
I understand everything, Judge. I understand.
Do you think the state's offer is fair and just?
Yes, sir. I think the state, I think it's fair. Yes, sir.
And do you accept the state's offer?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Mayberry, I'll follow the plea bargain agreement that you have entered into with the state. Mr. Mayberry, you can knock on the door, get the bailiff attention. This will take you free to go. You have a blessed. Who we have next?
I think he thought he was gonna have to pay Mr. Coleman's salary.
Oh. This is Dylan Combs is next.
Come on, Billy.
Okay.
I have the assessment.
Okay, let me get this case, okay.
Judge,
Okay.
that's, I'm sorry to interrupt, but that's Ms. Nelson's case, and we did not receive the fax, the assessment over via fax. I checked the fax not long ago. Is there a way to scan it and maybe email it to us?
Okay, hold on a minute. And, okay, hold on a minute.
And let me check my system. Maybe I've got an electronic version in our system.
Let him know that I faxed it to Sonia.
She said she faxed it to Sonia?
I can go check, Judge.
Okay, we'll